Hello everyone. Today I'm going to be finally reviewing Star Wars Episode 3: Revenge of the Sith. This is my final episode of the prequel trilogy and a very good concluding chapter. Now, the first thing I want to start off with for Episode 3, and I want to preface this really quick, is it is my favorite Star Wars movie. And I know a lot of people are going to call me stupid or dumb for that. But remember, this is my opinion. This is what I enjoy, not you. So you can tell me why. I'm always open for your opinion. You can tell me why you don't like Episode 3. Tell me why you like Episode 5 or 6 or 4 better. You know. But we're not going to stay too long on that. We're going to get right into it. The one bad thing that sticks out the most is the romance. And the good thing about this movie is it is only in it for the beginning, mainly. You know, it's obviously throughout the entire movie, but it's not episode 2 type deal where you're, oh, Anakin, I love you. You know, that happens, but it's cheesy. It's not cringy, you know? The dialogue, there is one section of dialogue, it was bad. It was atrocious. It was atrocious. I might play it. It was just bad. Oh my god. But also, I would have liked to see more of General Grievous in the scene in which he fights Obi-Wan, and just more in general, because Grievous is really badass and stuff. But you know, that scene was kind of short, and they didn't show too much of the actual fight. Like, they showed a lot of Obi-Wan and Grievous fighting, but the shots weren't exactly great, in my opinion. I did not, like, the battle was cool, but it was just, like, you wanted to see the battle, not just some lightsabers clashing and a bright light and Grievous's hands being cut off. And also, there was a horrible, awful shot of Obi-Wan's eyes when he says, "Oh, I don't think so." And it zooms in, and it's off center, and it looks just horrible. But you know, that can be annoying. And also, I could be wrong about this, but I think there are some dubbing in this movie. And if you don't know what that is, it's basically where, say, an actor says a line wrong in the movie, but they're already filming, and they're just like, okay, we'll just dub over it. And what that means is they'll go over later and just have the actor re-record the line that they messed up on and placed it over top of the character's actual line that they said. And I noticed it later in the movie, mainly when Anakin was talking to Mace Windu. There was a scene where it was just like his mouth movements were not synced up with what he was saying. It was early in the movie too. There was a couple shots of Anakin. His mouth just was not synced up very well. Maybe it was just me. Maybe I'm just an idiot. Maybe it just lagged a little bit. But overall, the movie looked fine. I didn't see any issues with it. But other than that, there's a couple plot holes which I'll just address really quick. One being when Mace Windu says, "I sense a plot to destroy the Jedi." It doesn't make any sense. Why? I kind of get it. I guess because they're logically thinking, oh wait, Palpatine. Oh wait, there's a lot of evidence towards him being the Sith Lord. So, but the sensing portion of it doesn't make much sense, because if you guys don't know, I don't know if it's canon still, but I'm pretty sure it is. The Jedi Temple was built on top of an old Sith temple to kind of, bury the hatchet, not bury the hatchet, bury the temple, just kind of to like it's a symbolization of just like the Jedi standing tall over the Sith. And Palpatine used that to his advantage, and that's how no one was able to detect that he was a Sith Lord throughout the entirety of his run as Senator and eventually Chancellor. I want to talk about the great parts of this movie. The CGI, right from the start, once again, just like Attack of the Clones, is much, much better. It has improved a lot. It's visually impressive, actually. And also the opening is just, on its own right, visually amazing. It is awesome. The space battle. This is Star Wars. There's a war within the stars. It gives such a sense of war and like urgency. They did that really well. And speaking of that, there's a lot of attention to detail in this movie. If you just take your eyes off what's happening on the screen, like the main thing, and you just look in the background, you notice so much. They do such a good job, especially during battles, like on Utapau, when the clones are fighting droids in the background during the chase scenes, and when Obi-Wan is fighting General Grievous, you can see clones doing all sorts of badass shit, like jumping off.
Вашу цель осигнал союзный пилот. Вашу цель атакует пилот. Внимание, реактор сильно поврежден.
Victory is imminent. The battle's almost over. Well done.
The inhibitor chips cause them to just slaughter the Jedi. You know, it's still, it gives them character, and it gives you kind of like, oh man, that sucks. They're actually killing Jedi. It's awful. Also, droids, they were humorous in the first and second a little bit, but that was just, they weren't as humorous as they are in this one, and they're funny. I know a lot of people are like, oh, Star Wars isn't being taken seriously if droids are just saying dumb stuff and being all loud and squeaky, but it's funny. They really are. The opening of this movie it's lighthearted. It's very lighthearted. You laugh a little bit. There are good jokes in this movie. The opening, at least, is funny. About midway through the movie, it starts to get really dark, but it's still pretty funny. They did a good job. Also, I really like the buzz droid sequence in the opening, where Anakin and Obi-Wan are trying to get the buzz droids off Obi-Wan's starfighter, and the characters. Hayden Christensen finally learns how to act in this movie, and he does a very good job. He does a very good job as Anakin. He learns how to deliver lines better, except during romance, but he shows emotion. You care for Anakin in this movie a lot, because Palpatine is manipulating him, and you can see it. You can just, you want to reach out and tell him, stop, stop, stop. And you understand where he's coming from when he changes to the dark side. You understand. There are a lot of really good sequences in this movie, such as the oil with R2 and the super battle droids, the scene in which Anakin and Padme are just staring out the windows at each other. They can't see each other, obviously, but they're just staring out the window, and it's really nice. And there is another plot hole that is with Padme, and in Episode 6, Leia says, I remember my mother, but I was very little, and people say, it's just Force visions, but come on, Lucas, it wasn't necessary for Padme to die. I know it worked. The movie is good. If Leia hadn't have said that, I would have no problem with Padme dying. It definitely added to the story. It made Vader have a motive. His motive was lost, and now he was kind of empty, but still, I think they should have just kept with canon and not messed it up, because that gets very confusing. Also, I cannot remember his name for the life of me. I've been thinking about it throughout the entirety of watching this movie, but the Chancellor, his name starts with an E. I'm really sorry for him for not getting his name right, but he did a very good job. Palpatine was very good in this movie. He's a bit over-aggressive with some facial expressions. He's kind of funny a little bit at the times, but he delivers his lines very well, and as a Sith Lord, he's very scary, and he does a very good job as the Emperor early on, and he did a good job. Another great thing about this movie is it really does orchestrate Anakin's slow descent to the dark side. At first, he's like, I shouldn't kill Count Dooku, and then he doesn't, and it's just like slowly, he's getting little bites and little bites of the dark side, and eventually, he just takes he eats the whole thing, and it's sad. You're watching him, and you're like, damn it. He's matured a lot too. Anakin is a lot more mature than he's not the whiny rat. He does whine a little bit, like when he is and get Master on the Jedi Council, but wouldn't you if you were the first Jedi Knight to be put on the Council and not be promoted to Master? So, that's cool, but not that big of a deal. Also, Yoda is really good. He does have a really awful one-liner when he's fighting Palpatine. He's like, not if anything I have to say, I do, or something like that. It's oh god, it's bad. And he says something else afterwards. I can't remember, but I just remember sitting there just going, kind of cringing. It was bad. But overall, this movie is very good, especially the final act of Obi-Wan and Anakin fighting. It tugs at your heartstrings, especially when Obi-Wan is, yelling at Anakin when he cut his legs off. "You were my brother, Anakin. I loved you." You really feel for Obi-Wan, and I just wish they let him portray a bit more emotion. I know because he's a Jedi, he can't as much, but because that's the thing with Obi-Wan is he's not a full-blown Jedi. He strays from the code sometimes. And I think they should have given him a bit more emotion with Anakin. They did a very, very good job in the end. I just think earlier on when they found out Anakin was Vader and he was slaying children and younglings, there should have been a bit more of a reaction to it from Obi-Wan at least. So with all that said, my final verdict for Star Wars Episode 3 Revenge of the Sith is an 8.5 out of 10. It is a very worthy entry in the Star Wars series, and I think it is personally my favorite. You can disagree with me all you want. It's not going to change my opinion of this movie. I love this movie. I've loved it since I was a kid. It has been my favorite movie since I was a kid, and even after I watched the main original trilogy and a little bit, I think I will still hold true that this is my favorite. I do love Empire Strikes Back a lot. It is definitely a close second, but still, it surpasses them all. I might put these in order when I finish the series. I'm also going to rate The Force Awakens, and I don't know where that's on my list yet, but anyways, I want to hear your guys' opinions. Tell me what you think. Did you like Episode 3? Do you think it was a worthy installment of the Star Wars franchise? How do you feel about the prequels as a whole now that I've completed my prequel series? And just, tell me your general thoughts on the subject. I love you guys so much, and I'll see you guys next time.